What's up, guys, and welcome back to another book review. Today, we're taking on Colleen Hoover's Slammed. Now, I'm going to do this in two separate parts. I'm going to essentially just read the inlet, I'll give a quick review, and then we'll get to the spoiler section of the book. So, if you guys don't want to see the spoilers, that'll be saved to the second end. Let's get into the back of the book. Colleen Hoover's romantic, emotional-packed, New York Times best-selling debut novel unforgettably captures all the magic and confusion of first love as two young people forge an unlikely bond before discovering that fate has other plans for them. First off, I didn't think this was their debut. I thought November 9th was, but I could be wrong. When I first read that, I go, oh no, they're going to fall in love and be related. That would be heavy. That would be no good. Let's get on. Following the unexpected death of her father, 18-year-old Lakin becomes the rock for both her mother and her young brother. She appears resilient and tenacious, but inside she's losing hope. Then she meets her new neighbor, Will, a handsome 21-year-old whose mere presence leaves her flustered and whose passion for poetry thrills her. Not long after a heart-stopping first date during which each recognizes something profound and familiar in the other, they are slammed to the core when a shocking discovery brings their new relationship to a sudden halt. Again, I'm like, they're related. Daily interactions become impossibly painful as they struggle to find a balance between the feelings that pull them together and the forces that tear them apart. Only through the poetry they share are they able to speak the truth that is in their hearts and imagine a future where love is calls for celebration, not regret. So there you go. You got essentially the story. Lakin, young 18-year-old kid, moves from Texas to, I forget where they moved. I forget, honestly. She moves from Detroit, I think. Texas to Detroit. On day one, she's pulling the U-Haul in. Will is across the street. He comes on in typical Colleen Hoover male character number one fashion, just not aggressive, but just forward. Just, hey, here's me. I see you. What up? Right? So right there, he asks her on a first date. They go, as you heard in the back of the book. They go on this first date, and it's fantastic. They feel an instant connection. It's you could just tell, and Colleen Hoover did a very good job, unlike some other books I've read recently, of setting up why their fascination and their pull towards each other made sense. So now let's get into the spoilers. So Lakin moves from Texas to Detroit because her father died, and her mother tells him, we don't have enough money to stay where we are. We have to go here where I can get this new job. Lakin meets Will. Lakin also meets a best friend whose name is Eddie. She's a female, and she's very bubbly. She's very, like, the way that she becomes her best friend is she walks up, gives her a schedule, like, puts her phone number in her phone, says, hey, I just called you, so now you have my number. We're best friends now. Follow me. Oh, by the way, go get your lunch switched. You have, like, C lunch, and I have A lunch. Go get that switched before next period. See you, bye. And, like, that was their introduction, was just, hey, you're with me now. You find out later, Eddie is a foster child. She's around the same age. She's 17. And she tells Lakin, hey, I've been through the foster system. I got 29 relatives. Those are all the siblings she's ever had through the time she was in a foster system and the parents that she had in that system. She tells a story about her dad carrying a pink balloon and how it was just a devastating moment for her. And we'll come back to that towards the end of the book. Will and Lakin have the first date. It's fantastic. Lakin shows up to school on Monday, and who is her teacher but Will? So Will is a student teaching assistant who ends up essentially taking a role as the teacher because the teacher's out or something. And he also takes care of his younger brother. I forget. I think Kel is Will's brother and Claudia is... I think I have that backwards. I think Kel is Lakin's brother. Claudia is Will's brother. So Will lost both of his parents, and therefore he takes care of his brother and has since he's 19. He's 21, as you heard in the back of the book. Day one, as Will and Lakin meet, Kel and Claudia meet, and they're like sword fighting, so they become instantly best friends. So first date goes great. Second day, like the day after, find out he's her teacher. He goes, whoa, We can't do this. I should have known when you said you were 18. I thought you were a freshman in college. Totally should have asked. He takes full responsibility and goes, hey, I can't do this. Because of my brother, I cannot do this. Like, as much as I want to see you and as much as I would be willing to, like, sneak around, I can't because of my brother. If I lose this job, we have nothing. So you're respecting the responsibility of Will, but at this whole time you're like, come on, dude, just be with her and just, she's not going to say anything. Just don't be a fucking dickhead. Don't, and you'll be fine. So, but at the same time, you're respecting his resolve. You're like, dude, he's got responsibilities. He's responsible for his little brother. That means the world to him. And like, you respect the hell out of it. So you're like, okay, what's going on now? Because by like chapter 7 of this book, you're in the back and forth of it. So they're seeing each other every day. It's difficult. He takes her. So the first date, he takes her to the slam poetry bar that he like goes to and judges and stuff. And he wows her with this poetry bit. I will say, I'm a big fan of poetry. The poetry in this book is not great. I've been reading a lot of Edgar Allan Poe recently. So here comes one of the big spoiler alerts. As soon as they said that her mom was coughing in this, I go, uh-oh. Edgar Allan Poe, uh-oh. We got the what? Something's up. So you find that Lakin's mom has lung cancer, and she is going to die. And she finds this out because her mom starts to be secretive. She catches her on the phone being like, all right, hun, love you, bye. She thinks she's seeing someone else. So she kind of confronts her, and she also finds insurance checks, finds out she's not broke. They could have afforded to stay there. There was money after her dad's death when she told her there wasn't. She's like, what the, And she goes, like, I'm not seeing anybody. I just need you to know I'm dying. I have cancer. And it was like, what? So her mom had found out about Will and the teacher situation and was like, don't you dare. Like, even confronted Will and was like, don't you dare. And he said, ma'am, I'm not. I promise. There's nothing going on. So the day she found out, she ran over to Will's house and just like jumped in his bed and stayed there with him that night. Even though they were on the understanding, we can't be together. We can't be seen together. Like, we can't. She did that, and he understood. Her mom came over and like tried to address the situation. Was like, what are you doing? And he goes, Julia, her mom's name, she needs to be with me tonight. And then he walked across the street. You find this out later. Because he's still, after this incident, he goes, we can't do this. Like, I think they kissed the next morning. And he's like, we can't do this. Like, I'm sorry, everything you're going through, but we still can't do this. Little do you know, right before she wakes up, he had talked to her mom and was like, I'm going to tell her we can't be together. So that way you guys can spend all your time as a family. So as she started to get sicker and sicker, her and Will still kept distance from each other. There was a few moments at the slam poetry bar where people did poetry for one another, but it was kind of whatever. That's where Eddie did the poem about the pink balloon, and she goes, I never want to see another pink balloon again. So towards the end of the book, they have a birthday party for Eddie where her boyfriend Gavin tells everyone to bring a pink balloon. Lakin's like, wait, what? You guys are going to do what? She's going to hate this. Why are we doing this? So they do it. They have the birthday party. Her foster dad has all the names of all her 29 siblings or relatives written on the balloons. And as she's reading them off, he's letting them go. The last one he's holding says dad. And he says, I want you to be a part of my life forever, even though you phased out of the foster process. It is very sweet. I cried. I cried like a baby. I'm not going to lie. I did. I fully cried. It was a sweet section of the book. But now you go, so now what? Now mom's got cancer. They broke it to the son, and he was a G about it because they made lasagna, which I can appreciate the fact that she called a lasagna bazania and goes, well, Kel called it bazania when he was a kid, so now we've called it bazania. Hey, everyone has someone in their family that calls lasagna something crazy. That it's not special. So they make bazania, and he walks in the house and goes, who died, essentially? What happened? You guys only make lasagna when something happens. And she goes, well, I'm dying. You're right. And he goes, yeah, okay. I pretty much knew. And they start making jokes. He has a Halloween costume contest at school, and he dresses up as a cancerous lung. Gets in trouble for it. She ends up going, hey, my mother's dying, who has lung cancer. She made this. Probably going to be the last Halloween she gets to see. Back off. This is in a stage where Laken is now finding respect for herself. Will has come back, kissed her a few times, and then still been like, hey, I can't do this. You do get frustrated with him for that. Because you think they're, okay, he's finally accepting the situation. They're just going to be together. And he goes, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. She's like, what the fuck? So she says a big poem calling him an a-hole. It's intense. And, yeah, so at the end, he finishes out his session. He becomes a teacher in like another situation. And finally, he's like in a situation where they can be together. So they do. End of the book, Will and Laken end up together. Her mom dies. She ends up taking care of Kel. He's still taking care of Claudia. They move in together as one big happy family. And that's it. I hear mumblings that there's a second book associated with this one. So if that's the case, I'll find that. But I love this book. I thought it was great. 5 out of 5 stars. Colleen Hoover crushed it in all aspects. The romance was killer. Story was killer. Readability, awesome. Yeah, I can't say highly enough about it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next review.